It's hard to believe now, but in the early 19th century, hundreds, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of free African Americans were kidnapped into slavery from northern states like Pennsylvania and New York and Massachusetts and so on, kidnapped by professional human traffickers and enslavers who tried to sell them into slavery to new masters, to planters. This was a massive and wholly illegal forced migration, and I would argue that it was on the same scale as the much more well-known Underground Railroad, which of course saw tens of thousands of African American enslaved people liberate themselves. Now imagine that traffic flowing the other way, people being forcibly coerced into slavery and out of freedom. The kidnappers I write about targeted free black children more often than not, typically under the age of 16. Kidnappers targeted children for perhaps the obvious reasons. Children were smaller, children were easier to manipulate, both emotionally and psychologically. For all these reasons, children were very attractive targets, and cities like Philadelphia and Baltimore and other mid-Atlantic and northern cities were full of free black children. This massive criminal network was hidden in plain sight. And by that, I mean that kidnappings happened all the time. These predators would then try to integrate their illicitly obtained human cargoes into the legal forced migration of enslaved people from places like Virginia and Maryland. Kidnappers and child snatchers would sometimes sell their criminally acquired children to professional and legal slave traders who didn't ask too many questions about where these kidnappers had acquired them. For the professional criminals who staffed the reverse Underground Railroad, who were members of one or other of the major gangs that did this work between the American Revolution and the Civil War, there was real money to be made. Obviously, when you're kidnapping a human being rather than buying a human being, which was the equally grotesque but legal alternative, any profits you could make by selling that human being on at the other end of the market could be yours to keep. So kidnappers, if they did their work successfully, could make hundreds and hundreds of dollars in 1820s currency, which translates to thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars today. This is extraordinarily profitable work undertaken by men and women from the bottom ranks of American society who likely saw few other competing alternatives for employment. The conductors and station agents on this reverse Underground Railroad were met with outrage and activism at every turn. That resistance began with the people they targeted, the boys and girls, the men and women they tried to kidnap, who kicked and screamed, who bit, who yelled, who tried to run away, who tried to share their story with anyone who would listen. Those efforts were not, unfortunately, always successful. The kidnappers and conductors of the reverse Underground Railroad also became a favorite target of organized anti-slavery activists in free northern cities, who tried their best to demonize these people in the public prints, which was not hard to do, and to use the figure of the child snatcher and the suffering child to motivate white northern readers to get off their couches and do something about American slavery.